Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast. And today we have a special coaches preview on tap for you from the Central Missouri Athletic Conference. Head coach of the Smith-Cotton Tigers, we have Kyle Zimmerman joining us on the show. Coach, appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate you letting me come on here and talk about our program.
Absolutely. One of our goals is to look at the whole scope of baseball around the state. The Central Missouri Athletic Conference, if people are not aware of this, is probably one of the toughest conferences I've seen in the state. Yes?
I would agree. It's a grind every day you go through, and Columbia and Jeff City, they're baseball, places. You got talent coming out of those areas all the time, and you add Camdenton into the mix this year, so it didn't get any easier.
Yeah, I saw that because they left down south and came up to you guys. And folks, we're talking about Rockbridge Hickman. We're talking about Elias Catholic, Jeff City, Capital City, which is the newer school there in Jeff City.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Adding Camdenton to the mix. Who am I missing, Coach?
Did you have Battle?
No.
Hickman, Rockbridge.
Battle. I was missing
Yep.
Battle. So up and down the lineup, you've got up and down that conference, you got teams that just that's going to put you through a gauntlet and test your team throughout the whole season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think at one point I went back and looked kind of early in my career, and I mean, somebody from Columbia or Jeff City was in a Final Four for like 9 years out of 10. It's there's no easy days.
Coach, how long have you been head coach there at Smith-Cotton?
So this will be year number 9 for me. I started what would have been, I guess, the 16-17 season. I believe that would have been my first year. And then I was assistant for 3 years before that. So this will be my 12th year total in the program.
Okay, very good. You've been Class 6, District 5. District 5, good luck with that every year. That's been brutally tough. Let's first talk about this. You had we talked a little bit before we started here, before we came on the show. You only had 4 seniors from last year, so you had a relatively young team. You're returning a lot of kids this year. Talk about give us a look at some of the leadership that you have from your team last year.
Yeah, so with the 4 seniors, really it kind of our sophomore class was kind of our big class last year. We had several sophomores that were in the lineup on a daily basis last year. So, and then our juniors kind of filled the gaps between the seniors and the sophomores. So, we've got a catcher returning, shortstop returning, first base returning, 2 of our 3 outfielders returning, and we only lost 2 pitchers out of our pitching staff. Now, the 2 pitchers that we lost combined for 90 innings. So that's that's a big hole to fill. But it's nice to be able to have a lot of guys coming back and having a little bit of success and knowing what it took to have that success. And we've seen the guys even take it up a notch this year.
Talk to us about. I always like to start with this. Pitching. It's the guy on the bump. He's got to get your 3 outs with the defense behind you. How they do that. Talk to us about some of the guys who are going to be taking the mound for you this year after losing those 2 guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So really, it pretty much starts and stops with Jacoby Lynn and Cooper Woolery. Jacoby will be a senior for us this year. He threw 28 innings last year. Threw really well to start the year, had a couple bumps in the road in the middle of the season. And then, it took a while to kind of gain that confidence back. But he's going to be a guy for us that, he's got a little bit of a funky delivery, but he still throws hard. He has good off speed. Cooper Woolery, he is a guy that is going to play infield for us, but he threw 40 innings last year, and I mean, he just lives in the strike zone. I remember, I believe we were playing Oak Park last year, and we had to tell Cooper like, "Hey, it's okay to not throw strikes sometimes because." When you're throwing that many strikes, they're going to be able to hit it. So, um,
That's a tough
uh,
thing to say to a pitcher, isn't it? He's like, wait a minute,
exactly.
coach, you just hollered at me to throw strikes. I'm throwing strikes. Now you tell me not to throw strikes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's I've never had to say that before, but it was they had his number and he just was right in the middle of the strike zone. It's like, all right, bud, like I love the fact that you're throwing strikes and giving us a chance to play defense, but let's mix it up a little bit. But no, he's a great kid, and he'll be on the mound a lot for us. Adam Rowe is another one. He's a junior. We're really looking for him to step up and be a guy for us, kind of in that top three, role for us. And really, kind of after that, it's you have guys like Carson Golder, who's a senior left-hander. We're going to rely on him a lot more this year. Jackson Bates threw 15 innings for us last year, and he'll probably be relied on more heavily this year. And then we have a freshman named Carson Whisker, who just came in the program, and I mean he might have to factor in for us on the mound. He's throwing it really well right now, and you know if he's able to help win games, he's going to be on there. He's going to be on the bump.
How important, we talk about this quite a bit. And, you talk about smaller schools. You're a class six school, and I don't know where you guys rank in as far as enrollment within that scenario,
Sure.
but um, depth is always at premium when you're playing at class six. For one district, you got it's just the amount of pressure that is pitching puts on you at that level. And then this year with the new rules you're going into, if you get out of district play, you're going to be in a best two of three in your playoff.
Hmm.
Developing that depth through the season is going to be hugely important, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, again, last year was a little bit unique for us. We average, about 12, 13 guys getting double digit innings for us. And last year we only had six, because we had some guys at the top that were able to I mean, they were able to give us 5, 6 innings every night out. And so, unfortunately, we're kind of stuck with filling those gaps this year because they didn't get as much experience last year. So that'll be a big focus for us this year. Is especially early in the season, we go uh, tournament at the end of March, week off. Well, not week off, but no tournament the next week, and then we go tournament, and the the second and third tournament, we have 6 games the first week, 7 games the second week. So those are going to be some weeks where we're really going to find out what we have, and maybe get some guys on there. But hey, it's either going to work or it's not. But we got to try it.
You know, you have. I was looking through your website, and we discussed this a bit before we started. But you have a scenario on here. You have some philosophies. The Tiger Way. The best players have had fears of inadequacy, but the best players ignore and suppress them, determined to overcome them, and gain control of their thoughts, feelings, and behavior. When they do that, they exemplify a winner's approach. How much do you talk to pitchers? I mean, especially pitching is such a mental.
Hmm.
Baseball in general is such a mental game. The physical part comes only because you are prepared mentally for the situation. When you talk about these things, how do you implement those on a day-to-day basis with your players?
Yeah, so our big thing, to go along with that is attitude and effort. That's a big thing for us. Give good attitude, great effort every day. And results are going to happen. Some days you're going to go out there and you're going to have your best stuff and you're going to get shelled. It's just going to be that kind of day. And some days you're going to go out there and you have no idea where the ball's going, but you're going to end up getting outs. And so, we try to focus on, attitude and effort above all else. So that way, results are just a byproduct of our attitude and effort. And so, we stress obviously first pitch strikes. Got to have first pitch strike. Got to get ahead. And then it's called a lot of different things, but we want to have two strikes within three pitches. So even if you don't get that first pitch strike, if you're still at two strikes and three pitches, you're in a really good spot in that at bat. And so that was something that we really focused on last year, and it helped turn around our season. We went from a 5-win team to a 17-win team just by focusing on that.
Coach, when we're looking at defense here, pitching, of course, is that situation that says, this is who we got, this is what we're doing. You're developing that. You talked about you're returning a lot of young guys. Defense up the middle, we talk about building from the middle out. You said you had a returning catcher, your shortstop, your center fielder. Right there, that's the makings for a solid defense, experience in those positions. Talk to us about those kids and who are we going to see there?
Yeah, so behind the dish, most likely we'll see Kendall Hagedorn. He's been back there freshman, sophomore year. We expect him to continue and be a strength for us behind the plate. With us playing so many games, you'll probably see a junior, Jaden Archbeck, back there as well. Just so that way we don't, wear them out again when we have 13 games in 14 days. We want to make sure we keep them fresh. Up the middle, you'll have Cooper Woolery. He'll be first or second base somewhere in there. And then, honestly, it just kind of depends on who's pitching. You might have Jaden Archbeck up the middle. You might have another guy, Kendall might play in the middle infield when he's not catching. We have a freshman coming in named Drew Kendall, who has looked very, very good. And who knows, maybe he factors in up the middle. So the beauty of it is we have options, and we're not gonna all of a sudden drop off offensively or defensively depending upon who we have on the mound. So that I think is going to help tremendously. And then Hayden Zeiler, he's a senior. He was our center fielder last year, and we fully expect him to take that role again. He's not the fastest guy, but he gets great reads and he runs down balls that maybe you wouldn't expect him to, just because he does read the ball so well off the bat. And he takes control out there, and he helps communicate and get those guys in the corners where they need to be. So that's kind of what we're looking at up the middle, and me being a middle infielder myself, when I played, shortstop, second base is extremely important, especially when it comes to double plays, because not only are you getting off the field faster, but you're saving pitch count for your pitcher. Maybe they can go an extra inning now because you got a double play turn. So double plays are something we stress very much. We work on it almost every day, being able to turn double play. So that way, again, everybody would rather hit than be on defense anyways. So you turn double play, you're hitting again.
I always tell folks, I always tell little guys, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, what do you have to do to be able to hit? And they're always saying, I got to swing the bat. I got to see the baseball. No, you got to get 3 outs.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
You got to
Yep,
get
the
three
longer.
outs.
Yes, yes. And I tell you, we've had a couple of years where we could not get three outs, and man, it is not fun.
Right? It just isn't, and I think that that mindset, defensively, especially uh, at the high school ages, when you're talking about defense, and I think the teams that I've seen having a lot of success year after year focus on that defensive mentality and
Mhm.
understand, if we stay in ball games into late innings, we can have a chance to win. Where do you talk to your kids and how do you bring that? What's your philosophy within what you do defensively?
Yeah, so for us, it's, make the routine play. If we make the routine play better than anybody else, the fancy plays, the diving catches, the diving, ground balls, those things will happen. But if you can field it and you can make all the routine plays or most of the routine plays, you're going to be very successful. And offensively, defensively, however you want to look at it, our philosophy is every game is a race to seven. I found somewhere through my years of coaching and researching and just looking up, philosophies and things like that. I've found that, especially at the high school level, whichever team gets to seven first wins, over 80% of the time. And so that's kind of a big thing for us. We're racing the other team to seven, and if we feel like if we can get to seven first, or if we can keep them from getting to seven, then we got a really good chance to win.
There you go. I think you have to take a philosophy into a game and setting yourself in that position, especially defensively, because that routine play at a high school age, the pressure starts to mount and somebody throws down
Hmm.
the bunt. And I've seen bunt defenses just collapse on a regular
Hmm.
basis in high school. And, kids just not making a routine bunt defensive play. Where do
Yes.
you guys practice that a lot?
Oh yeah, we practice bunts and first and thirds at least twice a week. We used to do it almost every day, just because again, we went through a rough couple of stretch. We had a couple of years where we just were struggling to win ball games, and so we were focusing on that a little bit more because we didn't know what to do. So now about 2 to 3 times a week we'll do that, and maybe we do. Um, Run around first bunts today, but that's it. And then, tomorrow we'll do run around second bunts and that's it. Just try to keep it a little bit shorter time because what I've learned is, the longer we work on something, by the end of it, it just, they've lost focus and they're not, it just gets worse the longer that you do it.
Hmm.
So we're, I guess if you could equate it, uh, I also coach junior high basketball, and so I'm kind of a fast break kind of coach. Like we're constantly moving, we're practicing for 2.5 hours, and we're going the whole time just to try to keep them engaged and keep the brains working. And so we found that we can hit it a little bit less now because we're doing it so fast and so quick that they're actually able to pick it up a little bit faster. And so, especially with our conference, you got teams like Rockbridge and Helias and Cap City and those guys, they'll bunt, they'll hit and run, they'll do different kinds of stuff on you, and especially Rockbridge. I mean, shoot, they win so many games because they out execute everybody else, and so that's for lack of a better way to say it, like one of our main goals is we need to execute above and beyond what Rockbridge can do because that's why they win games. So that's kind of you don't want to compare yourself to other teams, but at the same time, if it works, you kind of want to take what you can and make it your own.
Absolutely. Speaking of Rockbridge, we're gonna get Coach Tao on a show here in the next little bit. His last season, He's been around there a long
Hmm.
time. It's his last year. Uh, you know, that's always interesting to me in those situations. You've seen him year after year there. What will
Hmm.
that be like
Hmm.
coaching against him this, knowing it's his last year?
It'll be a little bit different, I'll be honest with you, because he has been quite a big mentor for me. Ever since I took over the head coach job, he's been in my corner. He's been a guy that's helped me go. I've gone to him in different situations, like, hey, how do you handle this? What do you do in this situation, and things like that. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. He's obviously great for the game. He's an amazing coach. He holds those guys to an extremely high standard, and you hope that at the end of your career, people will be able to say things like that about you.
Right? Absolutely, absolutely. So it's interesting that we didn't get as we never got a chance to talk with Coach Tal much and get over to see those teams. We're working to get over into the middle of the state much more now, and I appreciate you taking the time, Coach. Last thing here we want to talk about offensively. Um,
Hmm.
you know, who are the guys in your lineup coming back? Where are you at offensively? Are you going to be able to score those 7 runs?
Yeah. So again, losing only four seniors, and really probably only two of them were in the lineup consistently. I
Hmm.
mean, all four of them played quite a bit, but I would say, as far as on an everyday basis, we relied more heavily on juniors and sophomores, like I said. And so, you'll have guys like Kendall Hagedorn, Caden Whisker, which is Carson Whisker's older brother. He's a junior this year. He'll be, those two will be kind of our anchors in the middle of the lineup. Those two guys will be our guys that we rely on. Hey, if we're struggling to get something going, these two guys are gonna make it happen for us. Cooper Woolery will be another guy. Cooper Woolery statistically was our best hitter last year. So hopefully he'll be able to come back and have another strong year. Jackson Bates, Caden Holman will fill in. He's a senior. He'll play some first base for us. He's a guy that just doesn't strike out. So it's nice to have that in the lineup where you've got a guy that he's gonna at least put the ball in play, or he's gonna walk. Um, what we've realized the last couple of years is we are we're not a team that's going to hit a lot of home runs. That's just not who we are. Now we have guys who can hit home runs, but it's just not going to happen most of the time for us. So we rely on kind of a hybrid small ball system, I guess you could say. So we get on base really well. And actually, I think I might be able to pull it up here. I believe as a team, we had over a 400 on base percentage last year. Um, so, when you're able to get on base like that, that presents, yeah, our team on base percentage was 442 last year. So when you're able to get on base, you're able to do some different things. And, bunting could be one of those things. We typically, we bunt, but we don't we're not going to bunt when a runner on first and nobody out. That I don't like giving an out away there. So what we really have kind of prided ourselves on, and what we've been able to do, is steal bases. So we stole 134 bases last year. We were 91% successful.
Wow.
So that's kind of what we have made our bread and butter. We know we're going to get on base, and once we get on base, we're not going to just stay at first base. We're going to run, and there are teams that have been able to limit us from doing that, but the vast majority of the time we found that, again, you look at a guy like Yadier Molina, he threw out 40% of the runners that ran against him on his best, at his
Right.
best.
Right.
And so we like those percentages. We like those odds. And so we're gonna go. And so our lineup is built a little bit more around get on base and be able to run the bases. we focus a lot on speed. We base run every day. We work on steel starts. We work on routes around the bases. We work on first or third reads, dirt ball reads. I mean, that is an everyday staple for our program. So, um, you know, now I guess one thing that will be interesting for this year is we got a new field on campus. So we played for, you know, basically since the 30s and 40s. Our high school has always played at Liberty Park Stadium,
Hmm.
which is a city park there, on
In
the north
Sedalia.
side of Missouri, on the north side of Sedalia. Yes.
Yeah.
So this will be the first year where we'll have our own home, and it'll be right on campus. And one thing I've noticed is it's a little bit more windy out there, and less trees. So I hope that's a good thing for us, and I hope we can use that as a home field advantage. But we'll just have to wait and see on that. So.
It's always nice to get a field on campus, isn't it? But
Oh
you know,
yeah.
through the growing pains a little bit. And Liberty, we were there a couple years ago with American Legion, and it's a great park over there. I love that Liberty Park. It's nice.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. Again, it's been around from the 1930s. They're actually in the process right now of doing a
Yeah.
major upgrade to it. They're returfing the whole thing, completely redoing the stands and everything underneath, and updating it, bringing it into the 21st century for sure. So, not quite done yet. And when it is, we'll still play some games there because you can't, give up the historical factor of that field and being able to play there. But the nice thing will be every day will be, the kids will be able to just walk right outside. We'll start practice 30 minutes earlier, get done 30 minutes earlier, and it'll be pretty exciting.
One of the things we're looking to do in the future, coach, is do a series of, just features on Saturdays, and maybe we get out to Liberty Park and you guys invite, say, like Jeff City and Helias, and we can live stream some ball games from Liberty Park. That'd be fun,
Oh man, that'd be awesome. It'd be a
right?
really neat experience, and again, it's you don't see fields like that anymore. You just don't. So it's we'd love to do it. We'd love to set it up somehow. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I know State Fair College plays there too, if I'm not mistaken.
yep,
Yeah. So
yep.
last thing, and I'm going to get you out of here, Coach. We're from we're in the middle of the St. Louis Met. Well, not middle. We're kind of northwest of the St. Louis metro area. But youth baseball on the elementary middle school side is quite a bit different than some of the other areas. I know even in Central Missouri, your program, you're there in the Central Missouri Sedalia. How do you set that youth? Where are you bringing those kids into the program, and how are you seeing those that development, the elementary and the middle school? Is it a similar scenario as to what we see in the metro areas, like in KC and St. Louis, or is it a bit different?
Um, I would say it's probably a little bit different. We are very fortunate right now. We do have a former player who has opened up a hitting facility, and so they do have access right now to a hitting facility here in town. But for a long time, there wasn't. And so, for most of the youth, they were having to drive an hour to Columbia or an hour to Kansas City, or do something like that if they wanted a hitting facility or to get lessons and things like that. So it's been very nice. We've got a couple former players that have come back and have started to give lessons and things like that, which has been tremendous. And I would say probably baseball and soccer right now is kind of, I guess, the two biggest activities as far as youth goes in Sedalia. We have a really big soccer program. We have a really big youth baseball program right now. We have a Parks and Rec division. And then we have a more competitive league that also plays every week in the summer. So, we've been very fortunate to, have some guys come into the program that have had that experience and have played a lot and have been taught the correct fundamentals, because at our size, even though we're in the middle of nowhere, at our size, if you're coming in as a freshman and and you're not ready to move at my pace, it's hard to catch kids up. And so we've been very fortunate. We have several travel teams in town at different age groups. So that's been a beautiful thing for us, being able to watch those guys play. I mean, like I said, they play in town once or twice a week. So every once in a while I'll go out there and watch them play. And we run a camp in July every year, just to kind of get an idea of who's out there, who's interested, and kind of where they're at, and then that kind of allows us to know what's coming down the ranks. And then we have had talks, and I don't know where we're at on those talks, but we have had talks about trying to get junior high baseball in our school. So that would even have another layer of, get them into the program faster and hopefully, again, speed up their learning process. And then by the time they're freshmen, they're above where they would normally be.
You got to find some opportunities to help these kids be prepared. I loved what you said, because if they're not at the speed you need them to be, and that's the reality of high school baseball, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is. I mean, our numbers have been down a little bit the last couple of years, but we're still at 30 kids. So when you're talking about 3 teams, 30 kids, and we've been all the way up to 42, 43 before, so again, when you're kind of talking about that range of players, unfortunately, you can only play 9 at a time. And so it's hard to get into that top 9 if you're that far behind.
Absolutely. It's just a fact. It's just true.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, it was a pleasure. I want to thank you again for taking the time out of your day. Please tell your wife thank you for us as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I really appreciate you guys. This was awesome. Thank you.
And we definitely hope to get out to see you guys in the near future. And good luck to you this season.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
Folks, that's the head coach at Smith-Cotton High School in Sedalia, Missouri, the home of the Tigers, Kyle Zimmerman. If you like what we're doing, please take a moment, hit the subscribe button right down there. Hit the like next to it. That helps the algorithm. We appreciate it. Hit the dinger next to it. It's not a home run, but it is notifications for upcoming episodes such as this. So it's just as good. That's what I say. You'll like it. We appreciate it. Everybody have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes, and hitters, Coach, give the hitters some advice.
Be ready for the fastball.
Oh,
I like it. Hit the fastball. You don't have to worry as much about the breaking ball.
That's good advice. We'll see y'all next time.